So with the recent release of the new Tiny Tina's Wonderland DLC, Coiled Captors, and it coming with a ton of backlash from the Borderlands community, I kind of wanted to break down and go over what went wrong and what needs to be done in the future to prevent this from happening again. So let's take a dive into it and figure out what went wrong. Alright, what's going on, big dogs? SG Leo here. In today's video, like I said, we are going to be going over the Coiled Captors DLC, and we're going to be breaking down what went wrong, what needs to be fixed, and all the community complaints. So we're going to start off with some of the bigger ones first, and we're going to go over every kind of the 5 main big ones, I guess, that were really disappointing. So the first main big issue that happened on launch night was actually the fact that this shouldn't have been a DLC. This DLC really wasn't any bigger than the original Headhunters from Borderlands 2. I've seen people speedrun it in under 8 minutes. It's not very long, it doesn't take a ton of your time, and it's not exactly the most difficult DLC ever either. So the lack of content that came to this DLC was honestly kind of a slap in the face. Normally, when you release a game like Tiny Tina's, which is a phenomenal game. I've stated it 100 times that I think it's one of the better games in the series. But this game as a whole was also supposed to be somewhat of a filler. Basically, the way I looked at Tiny Tina's was Gearbox releasing a game saying, hey, here's some Borderlands content that'll hopefully hold you over until Borderlands 4 is released or until whatever Borderlands game we release next comes out. So when they released this DLC and I found out it took me 15 minutes to run through it, I was pretty disappointed. I had seen a few videos on it and a few people already complaining about it, but I was like, yeah, come on, they're just speedrunning it or something, right? Like, it can't be that short. And it is. It doesn't add a ton of content, and there already wasn't exactly oodles of amount of content to Tiny Tina's. Again, because it's more of a filler game. So I was a little disappointed, especially since the big hype for this one was that beating Chum, right, was the end of the dungeon. You would beat Chum, and then you would have to continually grind this dungeon to get souls, unlock better gear, and then every week they would release an update that made Chum a little harder, made him a little stronger, gave him a whole new form that you would have to take on. And on launch day, they accidentally released all 4. So for those of us who played it on launch day, they could have beaten the entire DLC before the rest of it even came out. Now, it was patched, so now if you haven't played it yet, you still will have to wait a week to beat the next form, and then the next, and the next. But there are some people who have already completed this entire DLC, which is crazy to me, and it took them under an hour, which is not good. There were some other little bugs along with the DLC, things like enemies being named New Enemy, or weird glitches like that just didn't make any sense. Now, I agree with the community backlash. I really do. There was a lot of stuff that went wrong. There was a lot of stuff that we just weren't expecting. After releasing such a polished game in Tiny Tina's and making sure that the game is at least ready for release, to see a DLC come out that clearly wasn't even ready to be launched really hurt, honestly. So, personally, I believe Gearbox should be pushing back the dates for all their upcoming DLCs. Their next 3 DLCs at least should be several hours in length. The whole point in games like this is to have that grind, is to have that reason to continuously replay the content. Not only that, this DLC honestly could have been free without adding the Coiled Captors chamber or whatever you wish to call it. Because the rest of the stuff they added with the hotfix was actually extremely good. So it was a weird combo of extremely fun and good content added in with this supposed DLC that just didn't hit right. That just made you feel like pathetic, I guess. It made you feel like they didn't care, is probably a better way to put it. So what can be done? What can be done to fix this? So first off, if Gearbox is going to be releasing anything in the future, make sure it's a few hours long, right? DLCs are meant to be long. DLCs are meant to be additional add-on content that we want to play. There's supposed to be additional add-on content that is going to give us hours of gameplay in order to hold us over for the next DLC, in order to keep us coming back to the game. This isn't going to keep me back for a week, let alone several months until the next DLC drops. Now, again, I understand the community's disappointment in this DLC. I understand the backlash, I understand the rage, and I understand why people are verbally and rightfully so upset. However, there was a lot that added in this DLC and with the update that were really good. The upgraded chaos levels were really good, although I kind of feel like that was a little bit of a slap as well for those of you who were grinding out volatile weapons. now have to do the same thing with primordials. Feels a little bit of a slap, but nothing major. Being able to rename your pets, in my opinion, should have been in the game right away, but at least they finally patched it in. Adding chaos levels up to 35, which is really good, and adds a little bit more for people to grind for. I don't think the update as itself overall was bad. I don't think the DLC as a whole was terrible. I think the main issue the community has is this shouldn't have been released as a DLC. If you're going to release something that's only 10-15 minutes long, why not just add it into the game for free? Or why not just add it into the game as like a Headhunter DLC for like $5 or $10? Why would you make people buy the updated version of the game or the chaos version of the game or the season pass or the full out DLC to just give them this? I understand the community's complaints. I really do. And I want to make that clear because we can't let Gearbox continuously do this, especially if this is their plan for the next 3 DLCs. This cannot be okay. This can't be not spoken about. We can't not address the problem. However, I do want people to, at least in videos like this, address the good parts. A lot of people seem to not be addressing any of the upside to what they did. A lot of people just are complaining about the bad and throwing Gearbox on the bus, basically saying that this game is done with and that you shouldn't look forward to the next DLCs at all if this is what it's going to be. I'm here to say, no, there was a lot of good with this update and with this DLC. Brought in some pretty cool weapons. Brought in some pretty cool spells. Are they game-changing? Are they game-breaking by any means? No. But they're pretty cool. They're fun to grind for, and I've been having a good time with it. It's just disappointing is the best way to put it. The DLC as a whole isn't terrible. The new update with, again, the increased chaos levels and things like that is really good and is something we should all be happy about. I think we do need to hold Gearbox accountable by saying, if you release another DLC like this, we're not going to be shelling out money for it. Anyways, guys, that's kind of my take on it. Again, I just think that they kind of pulled a fast one on us. I don't really agree with what happened. I don't like that it's only 10-15 minutes long, but the update, right, take away the DLC, the update was phenomenal, and they did listen to the community in that sense, which does give me hope for the next few DLCs, and it makes me wonder if it wasn't for the fact that they were working so hard on the updates, that the DLC was just really short. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think down below. Let me know if you think that this DLC is terrible, or if you think it's just a disappointment. Like, I don't personally think that it's a bad DLC. I just think it's really disappointing, right? And that it shouldn't have been released as the DLC, like I've stated 100 times. But again, guys, let me know what your opinion is down below. If you did enjoy this, please leave a like, comment, and of course, subscribe. Come over to my Twitch at ttv/SGLeo. Come watch me live there. I play tons of games. A lot of Borderlands, a lot of TFT, League of Legends, Apex Legends, Fortnite, everything, basically. But it's a lot of uncut stuff, none of this scripted video stuff. So if you guys are wanting to see what I'm like when I'm not recording, that's the place to be. But anyways, thanks for watching. Thanks for giving me your time, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
My best friend to 23, she left her body in Harvard above me.